Are there any environmental problems in your local area?
Air pollution and littering are common issues where I live. Some people discard trash irresponsibly, and traffic congestion worsens air quality. Community cleanup drives have helped, but stricter policies and public cooperation are needed for long-term improvement.
What do you do to help the environment?
I make small but meaningful efforts, like using reusable bags, reducing plastic waste, and conserving water. I also prefer walking or cycling for short distances instead of driving, which cuts down on emissions. These habits may seem minor, but collective action makes a significant difference.
Has your attitude toward the environment changed over time?
Yes, as I've learned more about climate change, I've become more conscious of my actions. Earlier, I didn't think much about waste, but now I actively recycle and avoid single-use plastics. Awareness campaigns and documentaries have really influenced my perspective.
Do you think children should learn about environmental issues in school?
Definitely, teaching children early fosters lifelong eco-friendly habits. Schools can integrate environmental lessons into science classes or organize tree planting activities. When kids understand sustainability, they grow up to be responsible adults who care for the planet.
Do you think environmental awareness is important in your country?
Absolutely, environmental awareness is crucial because pollution and climate change affect everyone. Many people now understand the impact of waste and emissions, so schools and media promote recycling and energy conservation. However, some still ignore these issues, which is why continuous education is essential for real change. One of the most pressing environmental issues my country has faced in recent years is severe air pollution, particularly in urban areas. The problem has become increasingly noticeable, especially during winter months when a thick haze blankets cities, reducing visibility and creating health hazards. The primary cause of this pollution stems from multiple factors, including vehicle emissions, industrial discharges, and the widespread burning of crop residues in nearby agricultural regions. Additionally, the rapid urbanization and increasing number of factories have contributed significantly to deteriorating air quality. The effects of this pollution have been profound. On a health level, respiratory illnesses such as asthma and bronchitis have surged, particularly among children and the elderly. Hospitals report higher admissions during peak pollution periods, placing strain on healthcare systems. Beyond health, the smog disrupts daily life, flights get delayed, outdoor activities are restricted, and the overall quality of life diminishes. Economically, the problem also deters tourism, as visitors are reluctant to travel to cities engulfed in toxic air. Several measures have been taken to address this crisis. The government has introduced stricter emission standards for vehicles and industries, promoting electric cars and renewable energy sources. Public awareness campaigns encourage people to reduce personal carbon footprints, such as using public transport and avoiding waste burning. Some cities have implemented odd-even vehicle rotation schemes to curb traffic pollution. Additionally, farmers are being educated on alternative methods to dispose of crop waste instead of burning it. This problem is critically important to solve because clean air is fundamental to human health and environmental sustainability. Long-term exposure to polluted air leads to chronic diseases, shortening lives and burdening healthcare systems. Furthermore, air pollution contributes to climate change, exacerbating global warming and extreme weather events. If left unchecked, the consequences will extend beyond national borders, affecting ecosystems and future generations. Solving this issue requires not just government action but collective responsibility, industries adopting cleaner technologies, citizens making eco-friendly choices, and global cooperation to reduce environmental harm. Only through sustained effort can we ensure a healthier, more sustainable future.
What are the most serious environmental problems facing the world today?
The world currently faces several critical environmental challenges, with climate change being the most pressing due to its far-reaching consequences. Rising global temperatures, caused by excessive greenhouse gas emissions, lead to extreme weather events like hurricanes, droughts, and rising sea levels, which threaten ecosystems and human settlements. Another major issue is deforestation, particularly in the Amazon and Southeast Asia, which destroys biodiversity and reduces the planet's capacity to absorb carbon dioxide. Plastic pollution is equally alarming, with millions of tons of waste entering oceans annually, harming marine life and entering the food chain. Additionally, air pollution in urban areas, primarily from vehicles and industries, contributes to respiratory diseases and premature deaths. These problems are interconnected. For example, deforestation exacerbates climate change, which in turn disrupts weather patterns. Solving them requires global cooperation, stricter environmental policies, and sustainable practices in industries and daily life. While awareness has increased, urgent action is still needed to prevent irreversible damage to the planet.
Do you think governments or individuals should take more responsibility for environmental protection?
Both governments and individuals play crucial roles in environmental protection, but governments have greater power to enforce large-scale changes. Governments can implement policies such as carbon taxes, renewable energy incentives, and strict pollution controls, which create systemic impact. For example, countries that have invested in wind and solar energy have significantly reduced their carbon footprints. However, individual actions are equally important because collective behavior drives demand for sustainable products and influences policy. If consumers prioritize eco-friendly goods, companies will adapt, and governments may introduce greener regulations. That said, without strong legislation, individual efforts alone may not be enough. Plastic bag bans and emission standards prove that policy changes lead to faster results. Ultimately, a combination of government leadership and public participation is essential. Governments must set the framework, while citizens must comply and advocate for further progress.
How can education improve environmental awareness?
Education is fundamental in shaping long-term environmental consciousness, especially when introduced early in schools. By integrating sustainability into curricula, students learn about climate change, recycling, and conservation from a young age, making eco-friendly habits second nature. Practical lessons, such as school gardens or waste segregation programs, reinforce theoretical knowledge. Beyond formal education, public awareness campaigns through media can reach wider audiences, explaining complex issues like carbon footprints in simple terms. Universities also contribute by researching sustainable technologies and policies, equipping future leaders with solutions. However, education must go beyond facts. It should inspire critical thinking about consumption patterns and corporate responsibility. For instance, teaching students how fast fashion harms the environment may lead to more ethical consumer choices. When people understand the science and consequences behind environmental problems, they are more likely to support and adopt green initiatives, creating a ripple effect in society.
What are the challenges in solving global environmental problems?
One major challenge is the conflict between economic growth and environmental protection. Many industries resist eco-friendly regulations fearing increased costs, while developing nations argue that stricter rules hinder their progress. For example, reducing fossil fuel dependency is difficult for countries reliant on coal for jobs and energy. Another issue is the lack of global consensus. While some nations commit to climate agreements, others prioritize short-term gains over long-term sustainability. Additionally, misinformation and public apathy slow progress, as not everyone accepts the urgency of environmental crises. Technological limitations also exist. Renewable energy infrastructure requires massive investment, and some pollution sources, like agriculture, lack scalable green alternatives. Finally, environmental damage is often cumulative and invisible until it reaches a critical point, making it hard to motivate immediate action. Overcoming these obstacles requires international cooperation, innovative policies, and public pressure to hold corporations and governments accountable.
Do you think technology can help solve environmental issues?
Technology is a powerful tool in addressing environmental problems, but it must be paired with policy and behavioral change. Renewable energy technologies, such as solar panels and wind turbines, have already reduced reliance on fossil fuels, while electric vehicles decrease air pollution in cities. Innovations like carbon capture and storage could mitigate emissions from industries, and biodegradable materials may replace plastics. However, technology alone isn't a cure-all. Without proper regulation, advancements may be misused or inaccessible to poorer nations. For instance, while electric cars are eco-friendly, their batteries require rare minerals, raising ethical mining concerns. Additionally, some solutions, like geoengineering to reverse climate change, carry unpredictable risks. Therefore, technology should complement, not replace, sustainable practices like reduced consumption and conservation. The most effective approach combines technological innovation with systemic changes in production, waste management, and energy use to create a truly sustainable future.